to kickstart it. So, the badger story.
Badger.
Okay, so I'm asking Mom to tell the badger story.
You can't know about badger unless you know the story from where it started.
Exactly.
Because it was Ronnie, Sonny, and Edgar, and they basically brought Badger in.
Stephen King would not open with badger.
No.
Yeah.
It ends with Badger.
Right.
Yeah?
Yes, but let's leave it till we get...
We're fucked in the head. Can we say that?
Say whatever, but
Yeah,
don't stop
say
talking
whatever.
so that it comes out there.
A microwave. A microphone. I'm famous.
Yeah, you want one?
Stupid,
You want
no.
to? Okay.
I can't see myself.
Oh. Because I need to see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't see myself.
I wanted to see what if I'm like that. For like junior and senior
can
year,
record.
right?
Yeah.
Junior and senior year. So I was junior and senior.
No. I was in middle school.
So
I was
sophomore year?
Might have been because I was in middle school. You can record.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
Okay.
Because that could have been so.
Because I remember going to CCD.
Yes.
And I was more involved in CCD junior year.
And that was.
I'm
the
sorry.
and that was
junior
the
high.
George years. So that was
Junior high.
no sophomore for me. Sophomore year,
Yeah.
right? Sophomore junior year. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were like.
Wait, because I'm. So
If I was sophomore, you were late.
eighth grade.
Eighth
probably.
grade. Yeah.
8, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was about 16 years. Yeah, that makes sense. I was about 16 years old.
I remember
Yes.
it being junior high for me.
It was. Yes, I remember now. Okay, so it was late 80s. I was 16. Your Thea was about 14. And so during that time,
I was cute. No, I wasn't.
during that time, in like, you know, the world, Ouija boards were a thing, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody owned one. What was the name of the place that we bought it? It was
KB Toy Store.
KB Toy Store. That's what. Yeah.
KB Toy Store.
Yeah.
But the cool thing to do during the weekends was to go to the mall.
Yeah.
And hang out and shop and just, that's all we did.
And
that's
so,
what we did.
and they had a KB Toy Store there at the mall, and that's where we bought it. So anyway, so that's how it started. And it started because, all the kids would talk about the Ouija board and this and that. And we've always liked, like, scary movies, horror movies, things like that. And we just thought it was kind of, let's check it out. We didn't really believe in it, but we were going to try it out. So we bought one. And Jerry, Lisa, my best friend Lisa, and I went and we bought one on a weekend, came home, closed the door to our room, sat down, and pulled the Ouija board out, and we were all sitting crisscross applesauce in a circle with the Ouija board in the middle.
We didn't have air conditioning at the time, so we had box units.
Yeah, so and we had those box fans, a box fan, and it was late. It was always hot, so I always imagined it was summer, and the box fan was sitting on a chair, like
I still have the chair. It's the chair that's in the room you're gonna sleep in.
yeah. So,
It's that chair.
so right outside of our little circle where we were about to do this, we had the fan leaning on this chair. So the chair's like this, and the fan was kind of leaning back on it like this to blow air at us because it was hot. And so we started, and we're there, and we're just like,
We were
all
reading
right.
even the directions.
Yeah.
We had directions.
Yeah, what to do. And so we did that, and we're like, okay, so what do we say? Is somebody there? What do we do, right? And I think Lisa...
Well, it tells you. It told you what to say.
To say, is anybody there? Or give us a sign, or something like that.
Something like that. It gave you the exact direction.
And so we did that. We said, if you're here, somebody's here, give us a sign. And the fan that was leaning back on this chair like this fell off the chair, just fell. And we all just kind of went, that's funny. You're funny, Lisa. We all thought each other was joking. So we picked it up and put it back up. And then we said it again. And I was like, was that you? And if it was you, do it again. And sure enough, that thing fell. So now we're like, holy shit, right? So
Let's do this.
let's go. So we did. And we put, you had to put your hands on the little triangle thing. I don't know what it's called. And we each did it. And you were supposed to put it on really lightly. So we did. And
the funny thing about that is that it's kind of like a mind game. So you're sitting there going, is she moving it?
Yeah.
Or because I know I'm not moving it.
Yeah.
But then that person is looking at you going, are you
moving it? Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing. Like,
Okay.
But it's not moving in a natural way.
no.
Floating. It's floating. Yeah.
Super light.
Yeah, like I don't know that it was touching the board. Like it really did just kind of float. Glide. Yes. And it just didn't make a sound. It just kind of would glide. And so we're doing this, right? And it's just kind of moving. At this time, it was just kind of going like this, right? And we're like, we kind of got scared and we're like, who, was it you? Was it you? Whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started, right? Now, all of a sudden,
We're addicted.
we're addicted to this thing. We're doing this all of the time, right? Before CCD, like catechism class, all our friends would come over and we'd do it. So again, I need to remind you, I was 16 years old. I was boy crazy. This is what we would do. And we would ask things, the silly stuff. Who likes me? Does so-and-so like this person? Whatever. So there was this boy that I liked. And like Jerry said, we would go to the mall on the weekends. And we didn't have cell phones at the time. And so if you called their house and they weren't there, you didn't know where they were, right? And so I was trying to get a hold of this boy and couldn't get a hold of him, didn't know where he was. So we called our friends, Ronnie, Sonny, and Edgar. We got to find out, we learned from talking to these three entities that there was three entities on here. And their names were Ronnie, Sonny, and Edgar. And so
They were triplets.
There were twins and a brother.
And how did you differentiate? Like, how did you know you were talking to Ronnie?
So at first it started with Ronnie, and Ronnie was a circle. Like this is just how it started. So the planchette, I think is what it's called, would go in a circle, just a big round circle like this. And that was Ronnie. And you knew it was him. He was the first one that came on.
And there was a feeling to it.
Yeah, there was.
Strangest.
It had yeah. And so it was almost a jovial kind of silly. We always thought of a mischievous little boy when you thought of Ronnie, because he kind of just did this, right? And then from that he introduced us to his brothers. There was Ronnie and then his twin brother Edgar, and Edgar took on the circle, because it did start with Ronnie being the circle, but then we gave it to Edgar. So Edgar was the circle. Edgar was the circle. And then he had a little brother named Sonny, and Sonny was shy. And he would just do a little circle like this.
Mm-hmm, yeah, he
Just a
did.
little circle.
There was a tiny little circle, like it was cute.
It was just like
but
this.
the other, Ronnie was the figure eight.
Yeah, so then Ronnie took on the infinity symbol. He would do a figure eight, and he would like dance. Like we would put on music, 80s pop music, and Ronnie would dance. Like this thing would go fast, and he would like glide, and I swear that thing would come off the board. Right? Like it would just
weird.
It would just go, and you could tell.
And you know which song it was? Magic Carpet Ride.
It was Magic Carpet Ride. That was the name of the sound.
That was the name of the song. Like
Yeah.
for real. Like, and he liked that song.
He loved that song. And it's the 80s song, Magic Carpet Ride, not the rap song. It was an 80s song. So anyway, so he would come and he would, you could tell when Ronnie was in a good mood because he would be dancing. So anyway, so we would talk to them a lot, Ronnie, Sonny, and Edgar, all the time, to find out stuff that we wanted to find out. So back to that Saturday when I was looking for that boy and couldn't find him. He wasn't at home. And so there we go. Let's go talk to Ronnie, right? And we go talk to Ronnie and we asked, where is he? And he said, music? He said something like music, whatever. And we from the way we were talking to him, we figured out Music Land. He's at the mall, right? He was giving us hints. He would never spoke in full sentences. It was just kind of hints. And so we put it together. Oh, he's at the mall. He's going to Music Land, which was the record store. So we're like, okay. And then he'd go, every time he talked to us, he'd be doing this. And then if we asked him a question, he would stop and then he'd be gone. He'd go wherever he was going. And at this point, we're imagining he's at the mall because he could tell us what the boy was doing, you know? And so when we're doing this, right, and he didn't like him, he'd get jealous because I liked the boy, right? And so at one point, he was talking about video games. So we're mentally following the boy around the mall. We knew where he was going to be. And Ronnie comes back and he's spelling out ha, 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 right? We're like, what'd you do? And he's like, ha, ha, ha. And then he said, he fell. And we're like, huh? You're funny, Ronnie. That's funny, whatever. So we were done. We either changed the subject, moved on, put the toy away, whatever. We were done with Ronnie. Later on that evening, we were all talking to the boys on the phone because back then in the 80s, we had the party line, right? And you could get a whole bunch of people on the phone talking to each other. And it was us and those boys, the boy that I liked and his friends. And we were all talking on the phone. And his best friend told him, tell her what happened today. And he was like kind of embarrassed, but they finally got it out of him. And he goes, I don't know what happened. He goes, I was at the mall. And he goes, and you know in that area where the video games are, the arcade, where the arcade is, he goes right there in front of the movies, in front of everybody. Out of nowhere, I tripped and fell. Right there. I don't know what happened, but I did. And it was right at the same time that Ronnie had said he fell. And this is the same boy we were talking about. So there was that. So now it's huge, right? Now we're like, whoa, right? So now we're getting all of our friends involved. Like all of our friends are coming over. We have this big group in my room, you know, conjuring up Ronnie, Sonny, and Edgar. And we're talking silly things and whatever. And there was one night when the girls were there.
He fell.
Now we're moving on, and all the girls are now involved, and they come over a lot, and we play with this thing a lot.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. Janie came over.
No?
Janie, my friend Janie, who had moved away, she lived in Midland since I was in junior high, and she came to visit for a weekend or something. She stayed with us, and we introduced her to the board, and you know, one of the rules that it told you in the box is never play with it by yourself. You don't play. And so that was a rule that Jerry, Lisa, and I never broke. It was always the three of us. And so that was one of the rules. Well, we introduced Janie to it. And Janie was like immediately addicted. Like, that's all she wanted to do. And she was here to visit for a weekend. And that's all she wanted to do. And when we didn't want to play, she'd be like, well, I'll just do it by myself. And she'd get the board and we would tell her no, the rule is no. And she'd get mad at us. And she, you know, so she was staying with us for the weekend. And one of those nights, we would all stay in my room. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I get up because Janie's not there. I'm like, where's Janie? And so I go to look for her and she was in the living room by herself with the board. And I got mad and I'm like, dude, no, you're not supposed to. And I grabbed it and she got really, really mad at me. And so I took the board anyway. That was the end of the night. After that, we still kept playing with it. We still didn't think anything of it. Ronnie, Sonny, Edgar, having a grand old time with our three little buddies, right? Well, all of a sudden now the boys would come out and they would be talking to us and they would stop, like the goodbye. Remember the box at the bottom of the board? It said goodbye. They'd be talking, all of a sudden they just go goodbye, and the thing would like shut down. Like there was an energy to it. There was an energy, and you knew when they were gone because the energies went like it just did. And we're like, well, where'd you go? Where are you? Whatever.
And you would sense also it was no longer gliding. It was heavy.
Yeah.
You could tell when they weren't in the mood, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but it was it was still a figure eight, it was still a big circle, it was still a baby circle, but it was heavy.
It was heavy.
Okay.
There was a heavy feeling to it. So But at first it was like it would kind of get very like erratic. They'd get really erratic and then no or goodbye and get gone, right? So one time we kept asking Ronnie to come back because we wanted to know what was going on. It's like, why do you keep going away? And he spelled out badger, and we're like, well, that's a new one. We hadn't heard of badger before, so now we're curious. What's a badger? Who's badger? What's going on? And he wouldn't come back. He wouldn't come back. And that day, we didn't hear from them. Okay. So then the next time we went and looked for them and they came up, we asked about it. Who's badger? And they would just say, Ronnie would just say bad. Badger's bad. And now he wouldn't stay talking to us for very long. It would not even like 5 minutes at a time maybe. And then goodbye, badger, goodbye. And that's it. And so then one time we're there and we are talking to Ronnie, and that's when all of a sudden that the 8, because this is how we could differentiate each one of them, right? And we talked mostly to Ronnie, so it was the 8, when all of a sudden it just felt heavy and it was dragging. It was like dragging across the board, heavy, and all the 3 of us sensed it immediately, and we're just kind of like looking at each other like, what's this? What's going on? And it was like wanting to talk to us, right? But as Ronnie, like we're like.
The only reason we knew it wasn't Ronnie was because of how tight, how heavy, weird you sensed it. A lot of it was on how
the energy it gave, right? Because like I said, at first when it was Ronnie, it glided. It like almost felt like it was flying. Yeah. But once we found out later, badger, it felt like the 3 of us were holding it down and pushing it, which we weren't. But that's how it felt. And there was a negative energy to it. So it was trying to tell us it was Ronnie, but we knew better. And so we stopped. We're like, nope, not going to do this, right? So, but we kept going back trying to find Ronnie. We're like, where's Ronnie? Whatever. And through our little conversations, putting things together, we realized that badger was a bad entity that was trying to hurt the boys. This is the story they were telling us, right? So we were getting scared and whatever. We'd still play with the thing. And that's when the girls came over that one night, and the whole thing happened with Ronnie, where he was like enamored of Doris. One night the girls were there. As always, it was always me, Jerry, and Lisa. Always. Sure. We were the core of this, right? And then we started bringing in the other ones. Debbie was there for a little. Carmen was there. Doris was there one night. And we were all doing this, and Doris didn't like it. Doris was creeped out by it from the get-go. She didn't want to do it. We're all sitting in the circle and doing this, and Doris is sitting in the back. And Ronnie was like enamored of her. That's true. Because he would be like, he was doing
he would go towards that room,
and he would move over to the corner of the thing.
I forgot about that.
And he would like just go like pointing at Doris because she would not she wouldn't come in, and he would talk to us, and like we would try to ask him questions, and he would just say like real quick yes, and then come back and point at Doris, and we're like,
I figured like it was like, let me go look at her.
Yeah, because she was the pretty one. She was the pretty one of the group. And that's kind of how you felt. Like he was being cute and silly because we were trying to distract him because he wanted to talk to Doris. And we would say, whatever. We'd ask a question, and there was on the board, there was yes, no, goodbye, and then all the letters in the bottom. And when Doris was in the room, he just wanted to focus towards where Doris was, and he would just answer yes, no, and that's it. He would not talk to us. You don't want to talk to us? No. And then go straight to Doris. And it creeped Doris out. Well, when Doris left first, and then Debbie left. Doris got home first, and she called us, and she said to us, tell Ronnie to go home. And we just kind of laughed it off. We didn't really think anything, but we couldn't get a hold of Ronnie on the board, right? We kept calling out to him and he wouldn't come. And then at one point he spelled out Doris, or Doris is scared, or something like that.
Doris is scared.
Doris is scared. And then he'd go away. And then he'd come back and write Doris, and then he'd stop and go away. And that's when Doris called us and said, tell Ronnie to go home, right? And so when she said that, he arrived, right? So we're like, so what's going on? Now we're talking to Doris and we're like, what's going on? And she said that as soon as she walked into her room, the blinds in her, and there were blinds, not like what we have now, not the Venetian blinds, but the ones that you pull down and up like that. Hers were closed. And when she walked in her room, they like popped up, like rolled back up. And then her blow dryer that was there in her room just turned on. And that's when she got really freaked out and called us and said, tell me to go home. So that happened with Doris. And then Debbie had left a few minutes after her, and Debbie lived a little further out than Doris. And this is in the outskirts of town, so it was really dark over there. And Debbie drove. Debbie had a car, and she was driving over there. And before you get to the street that Debbie lived on at the time, there's a four-way stop. And
Was it that night?
This
was at night.
Yeah, it was at night. And there's a four-way stop. Now, remember, Ronnie had come back by now. And so now he's talking to us, right? He's now joking, he's laughing. We're like scolding him for scaring Doris. And we're talking, and all of a sudden the tone changed, but it was still Ronnie. And he kept saying, Debbie, Debbie, Badger. Debbie, Debbie, Badger. That's all he was saying, right? And we're like, what the hell's going on? This was before cell phones. We couldn't call Debbie. We had to wait for Debbie to call us to tell us she was at home. And so and Ronnie went away, just stopped. He stopped talking to us. And sure enough, after a few minutes, Debbie called us back. And she said, I think I saw him. And we said, what are you talking about? And she's like, I saw this man. So she got to the four-way stop right at the corner of before she got to her house. And she's at the four-way stop. And so you're a four-way stop like this, right? And so Debbie's in this corner, and catty corner, that stop sign that's catty corner to us. Over there was a man in a black and red checkered hoodie type flannel jacket standing there, but she couldn't see his face because he had the hoodie on top, and he just was calling her over, and she's in the dark, nothing there, just there. And that was all happening while Ronnie was saying, Debbie Badger, Debbie Badger, Debbie Badger. So, Debbie's scared out of her mind, and she's telling us, and so what do? We get back on the board. And we get on the board, and we're like, Ronnie, what is that? Was that Badger? And he said, yes. And that's pretty much when we stopped. We're just like, we're done. Things were just getting too scary. Creepy. Things were really creepy. It just was starting to feel like we were no longer in control. I don't know that we ever were in control, but it just was too much for us at that point, and we're like, we're done. It took a bit for us to be able to get rid of it, right? Like it kept showing back up. Like we would
the Ouija board?
Yeah, the Ouija board. Like we threw it away, and then
I used it. I don't know how Grandma got it. I'm assuming she saw it in the trash can and picked it back up, because it turned out to be where she would put the cakes. Like she lined it with foil paper
and put a cake on top.
So we didn't know it was the Ouija board till the foil paper kind of lifted, and then you saw it was the Ouija board underneath.
She had covered it.
She had it covered.
It's like it came back to haunt us, so it kept coming back, and so yeah, and obviously I think that in the middle of all of that, we were kids, we were teenagers, we were dumb, and we didn't know any better, and we thought it was just exciting and different, right?
Yeah.
Something just, And as we get older, like, I think it's just terrifying, like, just absolutely terrifying, because now I've come to the conclusion that they were all Badger. It was always Badger. It was always that evil
that's
entity.
How he caught us.
But that's how he caught us. That's how.
He's like the anglerfish.
And he caught us. He brought us in with cute Ronnie and Sonny and Edgar and their cute little stories, and they would sing and dance with us and go catch the boy that I liked and do all these little cute things for us. And when we were hooked, Badger came, and I don't want to know what was the plan there, but I also think that Janie opened the door
Playing by herself.
when she was there by herself with it. Yeah. And so I think Janie opened the door. And once the door got open, Badger came through. Like, I think that up until that point, he was still playing the role. He was still playing the Ronnie, the Sonny, the Edgar, because that was what would bring us in, and he was still kind of being careful. And
Okay.
once Janie opened the door and was able to come through, he was able to come through, and there was no more hiding. He's like, I'm here, whatever.
So
And
why do you think he, as Ronnie, warned y'all, Debbie Badger?
I don't know.
Maybe kind of like taunting?
I think it was just a matter of, just like I said, we were terrified, but we kept going back.
Yeah.
And so it just kept the story going, I guess. Like, we liked the thrill of it, if that's, like, it was almost like a thrill, right? Yeah. And so we were scared. It's kind of like going through a haunted house, right? You're scared shitless, but you're gonna do it. And that was us. We were scared, but at the beginning we felt safe. It really was nothing malevolent. I can't think of that word.
I don't know. You know what I think? I don't, and I don't know. I don't know that there might have been 3 and 4 entities there. I don't know that any of them were good.
Two.
I don't even know that Ronnie, Sonny, and Edgar were good.
Yeah.
That's just what they were
just
showing at that time.
They told us a story, right, of how they ended up dead. How they died. They lived in Albany, New York. Yeah. We found out that Ronnie and Edgar were twins, and Sonny was the baby brother. I think they were 8 and 6, and they froze to death because they were abandoned in a building in the middle of the winter. Their mother left them there. So we got this whole little sob story too, to feel bad for these little boys, right? So there obviously could have been something that was just, again, the anglerfish, like you called it, to bring us in.
Wow.
And it could have been 4 of them, it could have been 1 of them. But none of them were good. None of them were.
It's how I see it. Like, I think at that time, I mean, I saw it like that. Like, I remember thinking, it's kind of like Badger is holding them hostage.
Yes.
That's how we saw it back then.
Yeah.
And he's taken over and, doesn't let them use it, and kind of, that's what I remember.
Yes, that we thought we were trying to help them escape Badger. Yeah. Because that was the story they were trying to tell us, and we were buying it, right? Which was what was bringing us back every time, because we were saving the boys.
Right.
And
but again, I don't know that they were ever there was any, because there was malice, I mean, he did things like, turn on I thought it was a curling iron.
It was a hair product.
It was a hair something. It could have been whatever. I just remember something turning on. I do remember the blinds, the Debbie story, the George story. Well, you're not supposed to name them, but whatever.
All those, right? Like we talked to each other, like she and I, or we talked to Lisa, we talked to Doris, and
but this
did
really
that really happen? Like, did we make this up in our heads? And no, we will all come in at different times and talk about it still now 40 years later, and say that really did happen, and our stories will all remain the same. And even though we sometimes, like I myself sometimes doubt it, like I'm like, did I make that up?
Yeah.
But then I'll come, and that's why I told her, I go, you're gonna need to sit here and fact check me. But
because like the one that never for me was right away was the fan. Like, who would thought, right, that, like, I mean, the fan just falls. I mean, it was sitting on a chair, but there was no wind. Nobody was near the chair. Nothing. There was no reason for it to have fallen twice.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like you said, it fell.
It was
like
leaning
this.
against the chair,
no
and it
reason
fell
for
forward.
to fall.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, we're just there. And I think a lot of the little things that just didn't make sense to me, how it works is the feeling. The feeling you had was so, and the feeling, I mean the
energy.
The energy that little thing brought. And I'm like, shit, it's Parker Brothers.
Yeah.
It was fucking Parker Brothers. And like, it was made out of cheap cardboard.
Yeah, like
You
it was
know,
just,
so how does that hold an entity or whatever the hell that was?
but there was something
There
there.
was something there. Like, it was the strangest thing. I can't explain it.
No, but I feel like we put our souls in danger, like our mortal souls in danger when we were like 16 years old. And so don't never, it's not a toy. Don't ever play with that Ouija board. Never. It's real.
Yeah.
I promise you it is. There's nothing good in it. Like, it really is. There really isn't. And so, but
Except the store.
Do they still sell them?
I think so.
Walmart sells it?
I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah,
Probably sells it.
Amazon.
Yeah, like, I know if I were to look online, it would be there. But I'm curious if they're in the store.
I think they're in stores.
I
mean,
think
you could probably go to like Hot Topic or Spencer's.
no,
or
but
like
even just like
I'm
Walmart.
curious if
Yeah.
Walmart
I'm
has
pretty
them.
sure, like Walmart, Target
Like,
has
has
seen-
anybody ever, have you ever looked up, you know what, we should TikTok. Like, has anybody ever done like TikTok Ouija boards or?
So
Just
well,
curious
remember
what other people have ever
there was a TikTok trend for a little bit where the girl says, "Tell me the scariest thing. Tell me something that happened to you that nobody would believe." And I was gonna do it, but I couldn't get it in 30 seconds, so I didn't do it. And but there were some people that talked about it. They would do like these things, but nobody had a story like ours. Nobody's came like ours, and so. I thought, I've always said, when I retire, I'm going to write this down, put it in a book somewhere, and Stephen King's going to want to write it. But, you know, and he's going to make this great monster out of it. But, yeah, it's something that absolutely happened to us. But, yeah, so there's my story. There's our story.
Yeah.
You know, when we would go
What
to...
would you title...
Bardo.
It doesn't have to be a full like
Yes,
novel
Bardo.
book, but like what would you call the story?
I'd either call it Ronnie or Badger.
Right.
The shit we would do before we go to catechism class.
I think it's Badger. Because like I knew what story you were gonna say when you said, "Oh, she's gonna say the Badger story." I'm like, okay. And whenever we refer to anything scary,
It's Badger.
it's Badger. Yeah, this one I have no say in.
She was asleep the whole time.
I know the story through them.
So Rachel, my cousin Rachel, we went to spend the night at my cousin Rachel's. And it was me, my cousin Mel, who's about 3 or 4 years older than me, Rachel, who's about your tia's age, and Jerry, right? So it was the 4 of us. And that night, I remember there was going to be an eclipse.
Okay.
And so me and Mel are nerds or whatever, and we wanted to stay up and look at the eclipse. There was a lunar eclipse. I want to say I must have been 12, 13 maybe, and so that made Mel maybe 16, 17. And one thing that's important to know about this is that Tia's house, Rachel's mom's house, was this small wood frame house, and it was up on stilts, not so, but those big bricks, the big concrete bricks.
Okay.
And it was in the middle. It was surrounded by cornfields. So there was cornfields on one side, a cornfield on another, and a cornfield in the back. And so there we are that night. So that night Mel and I were going to stay up to watch the lunar eclipse, right? And there was 2 twin beds in Rachel's room. And so me and Mel shared the bed right by the window, and Rachel and Jerry were sharing the bed that was closer to the wall. And so there we are, me and Mel talking, whatever, trying to stay up really late.
Was Rachel asleep?
Yeah.
No, so me and Rachel were not.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, so we're right by the window. And so we're up against the wall next to the window. And all of a sudden, on, let's just say, the right side of the window, we heard knocking, just like, tess, tess, tess. And then it went like a little further, and it goes, tess, tess, tess. And then it went a little further out, and it went, tess, tess, tess. The 3 little knocks all the way around. And then...
Yeah.
So we're at the window, right? We're sleeping. When I say it, you do it. Okay. So we're sleeping by the window, and then all of a sudden, like to the right side of the window, you hit like 3 little knocks, like, and then it goes out a little further, and then you hear the 3 little knocks, and then a little further, and so that's how it was, and it went all around the house. And again, it was a small house. But you could hear it as it was going around further and further, so it was getting further away from you. And then it came around and started getting closer to the other side of the window until it got to right at the window pane, right? To where, like, if someone was there, they were right there, and they stopped right before you could see them. And then they started going around the other way. So this was just going around the house like this. So me and Mel are scared. So we get up and we go to go wake up our aunt and uncle, Tio and Tia. And we tell them that we go to wake up our Tio and Tia, and we get them and we tell Tio, there's someone outside because they're knocking at the window. And Tio's like, ay, muchachas. And he gets mad at us, and he goes into the room, and he shows us that there was a fan there in Rachel's room. And he's like, look, it's the fan. It's, and we're like, no, it's not. And so we turned off the fan, but he told us to go back to bed, right? And so we did. So there we are. And as soon as Theo walks out, it starts up again, and it starts going around the house, all right? So we got scared, and we were running over to Theo's room again, and we hear it again. And literally, we could hear it as we're going over there to see Theo. So Theo comes out, and he goes outside, and there is nothing there. Nothing. He walked all around the house. He looked under the house, because remember, it was up on like stilts. He looked under the house. He's trying to show us, see, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And finally, we just kind of had to give up that there was nothing there. But both me and Mel heard whatever the hell that was just something that happened to us. Just knocking. Just something wanted to get in. I don't know. So,
Wow.
But that was the other story.
Okay.